Hello you. Jim Jiminy, Jim Jiminy, Jim Jim Jaroo. This is Strokestown. Looks like a nice day out there. And this is my room. I stayed in this bed and breakfast on the main street. Very small room in the attic. I had pizza back there last night. I said a prayer and lit a candle in this church, and I had a breakfast sandwich and coffee this morning. I also did my laundry here in town, which was great. And this morning, all good. Head good, body good, feet good, mind good, all good. Let's go. Strokestown House is over there beyond the trees there, and famously back in the 1800s, I think it was something like 1500 locals marched to Dublin to get on boats to the US during the famine this was, and only 1/3 of them survived the journey. That was such a big journey in them days. People were very sick, starving of course. Disease was rife, immune systems were low, so they could easily catch these diseases. So even if they managed to get on the boats, many of them did not survive the journey across the Atlantic. And this is why the ships were called coffin ships. So many of the Irish who tried to emigrate in the mid-1800s would perish on their way to what they hoped would be a new life in America. Over my shoulder there is the West House Cafe, just off the main road next to Longford town. Stayed in there last night. This is one of those mornings where you don't really want to get out in bed and walk because it's very dark. It has been raining and it looks like it might rain again. But you don't get to just choose the good days, right? You have to take whatever comes on these trips. Head good, body good, feet good, mind good, all good. Let's go. storm damage, as you can see. Not much of a river here, more of a swamp. But I will be joining a very well-known river very soon. A hungry feeling came o'er me stealing, and the mice were squealing in my prison cell, and the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. It's the Royal Canal. This, believe it or not, goes all the way to Dublin, all the way to beside where I began my walk at Holles Street Hospital, the hospital in which I was born, and maybe you were born too. This is fascinating. There's a sign here that talks about the bog, Corley Bog. If you remember, in the first week of my trip, I talked about this bog, how one day I'd love to come back here and go to the Trackway Centre to look at the very ancient road that they uncovered in the Peat Bog. This road was built around about 300 BC, and they believe it may have led all the way from here to the hill of Ishnock, a very ancient road. You can see by the photograph on the board, the roads look like train tracks. That's how the roads were constructed back in them days. They'd lay down these pieces of oak and have them almost stapled together with bolts. And in much later years, it is believed that the Romans came along and paved over all of these ancient roads. They wouldn't have survived anyway due to the elements, and the reason the trackway survived in this here environment was because the trackway was preserved in the actual bog itself. It blows my mind that way back at the beginning of this trip on a country lane in Wexford, I was talking about Corley Bog, and here I am now today, having walked here, walking past that very same bog. What a trip this has been, what an adventure.